So, Jack, do you want to tell us about your research on today's topic?
About that.
It's really nice to be able to see like the day-to-day of what was going on as well. Like when we were downstairs, I was reading one of the letters and he was just talking about how they'd been in the band today and he'd played the organ, but it was really dull because they couldn't bring the saxophone. Just little things like that.
So what would you send and what would you like to receive if you were to get a little box of goodies?
I happened to get quite sidetracked doing my research, and I went down a rabbit hole of tank names, and as such I've actually, how do I put this? There we go. I've actually devised a game for us to play.
So I've got a quote from Princess Mary here from a book that belongs to my grandma. So.
The war medals, the death certificates, they don't give us the full idea of who a person was. But those letters, they were really good at detailing what Artie was like as a person.
Hello, welcome to What's the Story? We're the podcasting group telling stories of County Durham. I'm Anya.
I'm Erin.
I'm Rihanna.
I'm Jack.
I came to Beam here because I'm studying in school currently history, classics and politics. I'm really specialising in the sort of history way. And also I was born and bred in Durham, raised here, been here the entire time, and I just love having the history of my county at my fingertips. It's just incredible.
I really love history. I'm studying my history GCSE and classics GCSE. I love history and I love learning about what's especially good about the story is you're learning about the actual people and not just the objects behind the glass, but getting to know the people who held those objects and used them, and I find that really amazing to be able to do that.
I came to be here because I'm studying media and I also like studying history, and I thought this is a great combination of the two. I get to come and do something creative and media based and also get to learn a lot more about my local history, which is something I've always been interested in. I basically lived at Beamish Museum growing up. I love all of this, so I'm really excited.
My story's not as cool as theirs. I was just incredibly bored one day and just so happened to see an option to come here and do some volunteering, and I thought I've got nothing else to do, so I might as well.
Today we're going to be talking about the Princess Mary tins and about different gifts distributed to soldiers in World War I. The Princess Mary tins were a gift that Princess Mary gave out in 1914 to soldiers and sailors for the Christmas of 1914. They were distributed around the world to soldiers from India to France and to all kinds of different troops. It was called a Princess Mary tin because Princess Mary decided that she wanted to give gifts out for the soldiers, for them to have something from home for Christmas. It went on a lot longer than that as it took quite a long time to distribute them, but she wanted to give out, originally she wanted to use her own money to give out, but they realised soon that they'd need a fund, and a lot of money was raised from lots of different people to distribute all these boxes of different gifts to soldiers all around the world.
We got to handle one, didn't we, with our specialist and also keeper of the DLI collection, Rachel, didn't we? Yeah.
It's Princess Mary. She turned 17 and she's like, right, First World War, what am I going to do? She's like, I want to send a present to everyone that's serving on the front line so that they know that they're remembered at home. Like, first 1914 Christmas, first Christmas away from home, and lots of people are incredibly young, and for a lot of people it would have been the first time ever that they're away from home. The number of them that are in collections around the world show how much it meant to the people that were receiving them. So inside you'd have your kind of your sort of perishables, your tobacco and your chocolate or your sweets or whatever, but you'd have a Christmas card and you'd have a portrait of Princess Mary. But this one belonged to Private Dobson, and I can tell you one of the reasons that we know that is that he put his name on the inside. So you've really got to twist it with the light, and I'm happy for you guys to come and have a handle if you'd like. It's a very solid thing, I promise. But he's got Council of Durham written across the top there, and then we've got Dobson, and then he put his soldier enlistment number underneath.
Yeah, I think that was a very formative experience. It was really interesting to see just the fact that he wrote his name on the inside of the tin so that he could find it if we ever lost it and it could be returned. It's a really smart idea.
Yeah, they were very personal, I guess, like to be able to get something very special from home, I guess.
Yeah. So they had a little picture of Princess Mary. Well, I think the one we saw on the front, but also inside, despite the fact there wasn't any of the original stuff inside, because of obvious reasons, perishables. It was just a little engraving of Princess Mary, so that the soldiers felt loved and remembered by the royalty at the time.
So I've got a quote from Princess Mary here from a book that belongs to my grandma, so I'll read that for you now. For many weeks we have all been greatly concerned for the welfare of the sailors, soldiers, who so gladly fighting our battles by sea and land. Our first consideration has been to meet their more pressing needs, and I have delayed making known a wish that has long been in my heart for fear of encroaching on other funds, the claims of which have been more urgent. I want you all to now help me send a Christmas present for the whole nation to every sailor afloat and every soldier on the front. On Christmas Eve, when like the shepherds of old, they keep their watch, doubtless their thoughts will turn to home and the loved ones left behind, and perhaps too they will recall the days where, as children themselves, they were wont to hang out their stockings, wondering what the morrow had in store. I am sure that we should all be the happier to feel that we had helped to send our little token of love and sympathy on Christmas morning, something that would be useful and permanent value, and the making of which may be the means of providing employment for trades adversely affected by the war. Could there be anything more likely to hearten them in the struggle that present received straight from home on Christmas Day? Please, will you help me? Mary.
I mean, that little bit about the, making them think of their stockings when they were kids, that's really sweet.
Yeah.
I know that would bring up morale as well.
Yeah.
Just the nostalgia of waking up on Christmas morning, your stocking
Having
full
guns.
of, at this time, would they give coal at this time? Yeah, because I know the Victorians used to.
Yeah, well, I also read earlier that they were given so much money that from people who had probably maybe have heard this, that they actually had a lot of left over. So that went to the Queen Mary Fund for the people, for the women and children whose relatives hadn't survived the war.
That was very sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously that can be a bit hard, but a bit hard. I'm understating. Very, very hard. But we have to remember that quite a lot of the men actually did come home from war.
Yeah. So what would you send, and what would you like to receive if you were to get a little box of goodies?
I would personally send bandages because it's
Never have enough.
Yeah, it's the war. You are going to sustain injuries, whether that be from a bullet or tripping over some mud, because it was incredibly muddy. And I would personally like to receive maybe a stuffed toy, a little teddy bear, just to hold at night, very comforting. Just little memories at home.
Yeah. What about you?
I think I'd probably send and receive probably about the same thing, which is just a nice pair of warm gloves. I can imagine your hands being so cold, and there's nothing I hate more than having cold hands.
Yeah, it's
I think
France.
just being able to have a nice pair of woolen gloves would be so brilliant in the trenches.
Yeah. What about you, Jack?
Right. I'm gonna start from right, okay? Something that I think would be incredibly useful would be bread. Okay, because you can use it for so many different things. This is not my bread obsession. You can use it for so many different things, and it goes mouldy too quickly. So I think if you would send it over, it would be different to what they'd usually have. Right. On that topic, I would like to receive bread.
Okay.
If it goes mouldy, what would you be able to use it for something when it went mouldy? Because you're in the war, you know.
Bioweapons?
Bioweapons.
I think they had quite a few of those, regardless of the mouldy bread.
Mouldy bread. We just throw mouldy bread into the German trench and they all just evacuate.
I mean, Canadians threw cans of food and then threw a grenade, which is not very nice.
I think I'd probably want chocolate. Either way.
Fair enough. Would you also send chocolate? Yeah, no. Chocolate is...
Oh, as you were saying, maybe some nice warm socks.
Yes. They all wanted nice warm socks, didn't they? Yeah. But the British weren't the only one who did that, were they?
No, most of the troops that were fighting at the time got some kind of gift sent from home en masse. So American soldiers, they also got sent lots of sweets and chocolate, but rather than being from the president or whatever, it actually came just from companies and confectioners using them as advertisements, basically. We were just sending them out to say, you should come buy more of our chocolate once you come home. But the USA also sent flour as aid into Belgium for the Belgian civilians, and as a thanks to the Americans, they would, at the time they had printed flour sacks, and they would embroider onto the sacks the flags and the dates and send them back as thank yous from the people that were helping in Belgium, which I think is very sweet.
We also found out about the Russian eggs that were given out for Easter. So there were these like ceramic eggs with little ribbons on, and they were given out to soldiers from the Russian royal family to injured soldiers and officers to be worn on a sash. And they were ceramic, so
not the most practical.
Yeah.
The weird thing is, how did it end up in Durham?
and we know not many of them survived to this point.
Yeah. We think that there was a time when the DLA was in Russia, just after the fall of the imperial family. We think that somebody was selling them because they were from the imperial family, and obviously they got shot. That's not a good thing to have anymore. So that's how it ended up here, because somebody bought it, and there is one downstairs.
Yeah.
When you look at like the letters of what people are asking for from home, a lot of the things that are a lot of it's very different depending on where the soldiers were from. But one thing that was pretty consistent from what I was reading was that basically everybody just wanted a nice pair of socks from home, because it was trench warfare. You had all the mud and the water.
Trench warfare, that was awful.
Clean socks.
Yeah, it's a whole epidemic. Speaking of letters, the way that post was sorted in the First World War was pretty similar to what it was doing before, but there were 12 million letters a week and 1 million parcels a week.
Just a couple then.
Yeah. So they had to build an extra sort of sorting office in London Regent's Park. It was made out of wood. It was very basic, and the letters were sorted by hand. But once it started there, it would go off on... It would be sorted by unit. So military, say you did get a letter for someone in the Durham Light Infantry, it would be sorted. And Whitehall often informed the bosses of the post where the different regiments were. So they could send the letters through, and it would get to the right place. Then it would be transported on lorries to the ships, which took them to a number of different ports, one of them in Calais. And then, once they got to Calais, the trains, they would run at night so that the Germans or whoever couldn't see that they were running to bring the post, and they wouldn't bomb them. Yeah. And then once they arrived in the different regiments, they were put on carts and given to individual soldiers.
Wow, it's a long process to
Oh
get your
God,
letters.
yeah. And I can't imagine the amount of people involved, like sorting millions and millions of letters a day into different packages for many, many different regiments.
You can imagine like around Christmas and stuff.
Oh God,
So I think I read somewhere when I was doing some research about a guy who was trying to bring them all across into one of the battlefields, and he was like dragging them all behind him on this cart. It was just like packed with all this different stuff he had.
Oh dear. There were probably like multiple carts a day as well, so that probably wasn't his first that day. Oh, I can imagine. Yeah. As for post coming back, a number of letters were read because they had to make sure they didn't contain anything that could give away the position, because that's not how you do a war. That's not how you win a war. So it was read by a junior officer at first on camp, and then it was sent to London to be read in the sort of Home Depot. And you could, if letters got particularly personal or frisky, get an honour envelope, which meant that your letter was only read in London, just to protect your privacy.
So what did you learn about downstairs while we were with Rachel, Jack?
There was a particular set of letters. spanning, I think, over 500 from near the beginning of the war up until the very end of it, between a quite delightful couple, in my opinion. And we've actually got information about what happened afterwards to them as well, and I just found that amazing. Got together, had 3 kids. I think Artie served in the war, helped in engineering, such as building A19, I think it was, hospitals, airfields, and such things as that.
It's an incredible life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so amazing.
Well, we've actually talked to Rachel about them, and she's actually managed to show us the letters.
Captain Arthur Floyd was a DLI soldier, and he signed up when he was just 19. But we have 500 letters that he sent home to his girlfriend, and then she later became his wife, Nora. And he survived the First World War, and they lived a very long and happy life together. But we can see through these letters that kind of development of their relationship, basically, where they sort of become official and then they get engaged and they start planning for the future together. But what's also incredible about these letters is that we see everything through his eyes as it happens. So sometimes with archives, say with like an oral history or a memoir, but from this we get his reactions to seeing the first tanks, the first aeroplanes being used in war, body armour, but at the same time seeing him asking about people at home or how the dog down the road's getting on, or sending his best to his mum. So it's that really lovely kind of combination of things. It really brings you into the life, because sometimes I think we have a danger of seeing people only in terms of being a soldier or in terms of their service in a particular war or a particular set of campaigns. And I think it's objects like these, but also the letters that kind of really strongly remind us and give us that detail about the lives that they had before, the people that they were during, and hopefully the people that they were after, and sort of what they went on to do and what their kind of hopes and dreams were. Because we've got so much in the collection where people's lives have been cut short, so it's about making sure that we remember them as the complete person rather than just one facet, because I think that's really important.
I agree with what Rachel said earlier. The war medals, the death certificates, they don't give us the full idea of who a person was. But those letters, they were really good at detailing what Artie was like as a person, and his family, and just what he felt.
I mean, they were transcribed, weren't they, by his daughter, I think it was.
Yeah.
She wrote all of them out when she was in her 70s, I think Rachel said.
Yeah,
So they're all recorded from...
And we've actually got some letters printed here. Do we want to hear one?
yeah, definitely.
Okay, so this one is from the 12th of November, literally the day after the war ended. But obviously he wasn't returned home because the sort of phased return. He wasn't returned home until 1919. And it reads, "My dearest Kiddie, here we are again, or here we are all over again, with the war, which has been such an awful thing for both of us, over, and the future just as rosy as it can be in front of us. Isn't it simply wonderful, darling?" I keep doing that. "No more of that awful going back from here feeling. Oh, let's have a real big kiss on the strength of it. Rowan went mad yesterday. Huge crowds, cars with flags and bands, British Tommies riding on tram trops and so forth. I never saw people so carried away in my life. On Sunday night, I went to the opera. My place was out of bounds and I was the only imperial officer there. Manon by Massenet was played. A topping thing. The management wanted to cut out the 4th act and start the 5th. Someone shouted, "La quatrième acteur," and immediately it was taken up, and they had to ring down the curtain and give the 4th act. What will happen après la guerre? I can't speak French, I'm sorry. Yeah. Do you think we shall go roaming again? I hardly think it. Having this wonderful home of ours, I think that will be enough for me, and I just want to rest after my day's work. That sounds to me like the possible reaction. I know I'm lazy. I have had no letter from you. I shall condemn that post-corporal. Well, au revoir, darling. Here's all my love and a kiss. Your own, Artie. Sounds like a definitely, very well-meaning man.
Yeah.
They are really lovely. It's really nice to be able to see like the day-to-day of what was going on as well. Like when we were downstairs, I was reading one of the letters and he was just talking about how they'd been in the band today and he'd played the organ, but it was really dull because they couldn't bring the saxophone down. Just little things like that.
He really was the fourth act of this opera.
Yeah, it's a great insight to seeing like the life of one soldier throughout the whole of the war, to be able to get the kind of like at the time kind of experience of it.
And the nicknames, you said before he had Artie for him, but he calls her Kitty in this one, which it's cute. Speaking of cute things, there was a soldier who wasn't quite so fortunate as Artie, who didn't get a lot post. So one day in the World War, he wrote to a London newspaper saying he was feeling a bit lonely and he just wanted a bit of post. And 3,000 letters came for him, 98 big parcels, and 3 bags full of little parcels. So clearly, people cared.
Yeah. All you had to do was like ask the newspaper.
No, and it wasn't just letters that were being sent as well. You had the embroidered postcards we were looking at downstairs from John to his son Ernest and his wife. I mean, they're just like so lovely. I think I read somewhere that they were silk in sometimes, like, and the little messages you could write and put inside them. They're just, they're incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the way you could just personalise them as well with the little pockets and flaps.
Yeah.
It just means that everyone was different and everyone knew that they were cared for.
Yeah.
It's just really lovely.
Because they were like personalised. There was some with like the DLI on, which is really interesting.
I mean, in a lot of ways, it is just like a souvenir from another country they might not have gotten to go to otherwise.
Yeah.
I mean, at the time, like, planes were so rare, like, we only really used them for the war. Like,
the war wasn't always this big battlefield of blood, dead men, lots of bullets. Sometimes when they were away from the front lines, they would sort of meander in the towns. It was really nice. I remember I went to Belgium and I visited a place where soldiers would rest, they would meet up, they would all sort of have a little chat with each other, and they would write their names on the wall so that they could check if they were back again when they were next in the little soldier rest place. And it was really nice.
Yeah.
I mean, even while they were in the trenches, we have in museums all over the world, we've got art that they made while they were in the trenches. When I was researching, there were like little crucifixes made of bullets that they'd made. There was one man who embellished 2 chestnut leaves with his 2 children's names, which was very sweet. Mm-hmm. It's just there's so many like really beautiful things that they made in the trenches to just try and distract themselves in a lot of ways, I guess.
Yeah, and then there was also returning back to Artie. He was a musician, so to keep up morale in the trenches, he played all these musical instruments, and they had drums as well. I think probably kept up morale. Unless they were hung in the dining hall. I don't know why.
Well, they also had all their letters to write, like if you've written 500
True,
letters during that whole
7
time.
siblings.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the things they sent in the Princess Mary twins, wasn't it? They sent like writing paper and pencils as well to send all that. So.
If you actually have a look at the letters, sometimes they're on writing paper, sometimes they're on literally anything. Including biscuits. Because apparently they were so hard that you could write stuff on them. Like... I don't think you could write anything on McVitie's today. Yeah.
I mean, we still have in some of the Princess Mary tins the still that were eaten chocolate that they've just left because they didn't like it.
That's because it was Hershey's. Nobody likes Hershey's. Obviously, the tobacco, if it wasn't used, it would sort of
deteriorate.
Yeah, deteriorate and be really hard to open. And, so sometimes they worked, sometimes they didn't.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're very lucky to have a tin that we can open and sort of observe.
Yeah. So just to round up, what was your favourite things that we saw with Rachel?
I think my favourite thing would definitely have to be... I can't really pick a favourite. They're all so interesting and they're all so good, but if I had to pick one, I'd pick the embroidered postcards because they were just so intricate and just a lovely thing to send back to your family.
Yeah. What about you?
I think the 500 letters between the 2 of them, I think that's like to be able to have that story so clearly in front of us and be able to trace their relationship and trace the war through their letters. I think that's so incredible and they seem really sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably my favourite.
What about you, Jack?
I'm going to have to agree with the letters. I did find them quite sweet.
The Princess Meryton was also really nice because it was personalised. The soldier who owned it had put his name inside and his, I think his operating number as well.
His
Or was it
service number.
Service number inside. So it's quite nice to see them personalised. So Jack, do you want to tell us about your research on today's topic?
About that. I happened to get quite sidetracked. Oh, I only have 2. I can't do tap. Hang on a minute. Let me pick this up. There we go. Right. I happened to get quite sidetracked doing my research, and I went down a rabbit hole of tank names. And as such, how do I put this? There we go. I've actually devised a game for us to play, right? Either this is the name of a real tank, and I'll then tell you if it actually did anything, or it will be the name of something I've just come up with on the spot through my very intense imagination. Right. How should we do this? Do you want to tap the table, or do you want just to see who speaks first?
We could just go around.
Right.
Yeah, we just go around and say.
All right.
And we're all have different
So
ideas.
we'll start off from the left. Right. The first tank that I found, Abu Ben Adam II. Is that a real tank or not?
I'm going to say that's a real tank.
That is a real tank, and it did absolutely nothing. At least,
Wow.
I'm going to preface, yes, when I say it did nothing, I mean I've not been able to find any record of it doing anything.
Okay.
Specifically important. Right, next. Adsum.
I'm going to say it's not.
That is, in fact, another real tank that did absolutely nothing. Right. El Hombre.
Okay, that's not a real tank.
That's not a real tank.
Okay.
Right.
Yay.
Next. Arkansas.
I think, that one probably is.
That's not a real tank. There's a real tank called Arkansas. Right. Aristotle II.
That feels random. I'm going to say yeah.
That was a real tank, and it burnt out behind enemy lines and was then recovered.
Oh, right. Okay.
Oh, it did something.
It did, surprisingly. Most of these didn't.
Aristotle too.
Ataman Ermak.
That sounds like a real tank to me.
That was a real tank. It was sent to White Russia to fight the Soviets. Next up, Atlanta 3.
I'm going to say that one's fake.
That one is fake. Yes. Let me see if I can find it. Right, here's one. Audacious Russian Service.
Place my bets here.
I'm going to say that's a real tank.
That's a real tank that served in White Russia.
There's no way somebody could have come up with that if it wasn't a real tank.
Okay. How did I write this? Autogafter W1A.
Well, the fact that you don't know how to pronounce that suggests to me it's a real tank.
It is a real tank, yes. Surprisingly, it did nothing. I thought it might do something cool. Right, let's see. Right. Beelzebub.
That one's got to be real.
That is a real tank that served in the Messines.
They
That's
named
quite a
a
cool
tank
name.
after
They
a demon.
named a tank. It's a tank. I don't think there's much more fitting
And they
name,
named
to be
one
honest.
through Aristotle and Beelzebub.
Aristotle and Beelzebub, yes. Ben My Tree. CHREE.
I'm going to say you made that up.
No, that is a real tank that did nothing, unfortunately. Right. Britannia Mark V.
Not a real tank.
That is a real tank. There's actually film footage of it, which I managed to find. Brown Bear.
Exciting.
Real.
That is a real tank that was sent to fight in Estonia. Right, final one. Buster.
I'm going to say you made that up.
That is actually a real tank. Yeah, it was recovered from Bouzencourt and was actually sent down to Dorlens for the final fight.
I don't think any of us can speak French.
Surprisingly, I do French lessons.
I like German.
Unsurprisingly, I'm not doing very well in them.
Well, that just about rounds it up. Thanks for watching or listening. See you next time on What's the Story?